Welcome to AI Biopharma Playbook, everyone. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating story of Avadel Pharmaceuticals, a company that has become the center of a major bidding war. In the pharma world, we'll break down what makes this company so valuable, its game-changing product, the competitive landscape, and what the future holds for its investors. So, stick around for the full analysis. Let's start with the big news. Avadel is in the final stages of being acquired. Two mid-sized pharmaceutical companies have been locked in a high-stakes competition to buy them out. What's all the fuss about? It's primarily driven by the incredible success of Avadel's flagship product, a once-nightly therapy for narcolepsy, and its potential to treat other related sleep disorders. The bidding process started in late 2025 and quickly escalated. The offers weren't just cash, they included something called contingent value rights, or CVRs, which are basically bonus payments tied to future success. After careful evaluation, Avadel's board decided that an offer from a company named 𝗙𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 presented the best value. Why? Because the milestones tied to their CVRs seemed more achievable, making the deal less risky. The transaction is expected to wrap up in early 2026, assuming it gets the green light from regulators and shareholders. So, what is this breakthrough product that's causing such a stir? At its core, Avadel's main asset is an extended-release oxybate therapy. This is the same active ingredient found in older narcolepsy treatments, but with one massive improvement. Legacy products require patients to wake up in the middle of the night to take a second dose. Imagine dealing with a sleep disorder and having your treatment interrupt your sleep. Avadel's formulation eliminates that need entirely. It's a single dose taken right before bed. This single nightly dose is a huge differentiator. It solves a major problem for patients, improving their adherence to the treatment and, more importantly, their quality of life. The drug is designed for stable release throughout the night, which could lead to better symptom control and fewer side effects. It's also approved for pediatric patients, which opens up a whole new segment of the market. And let's not forget the caregivers, who often have to supervise dosing. For them, a single administration simplifies everything. But Avadel isn't stopping there. They're also working on a next-generation, salt-free version of the drug. This is a big deal because traditional oxybate therapies have a high sodium content, which can be a long-term concern for cardiovascular health. A salt-free option would be a major clinical advancement. As more real-world data comes in, Avadel is perfectly positioned to show concrete benefits like better medication adherence, improved sleep quality, fewer accidents, and a huge boost in patient quality of life. All of these factors make the therapy extremely attractive to insurance payers. Now, let's talk about the market. How big is it? In the US, the number of narcolepsy patients treated with oxybate is in the mid-tens of thousands. But the real growth opportunity might be in a condition called idiopathic hypersomnia, or IH. This is another sleep disorder with thousands of patients who have very few effective treatment options. Combined, narcolepsy and IH represent a large and commercially proven market for this type of therapy. Several forces are driving the market forward. First, there's a pull from patients and doctors. Awareness of sleep disorders is growing, leading to more diagnoses. Payers are already familiar with oxybate therapies, which smooths the path for reimbursement, and most importantly, patients are actively seeking out more convenient and safer treatment options. Then there are the push factors from technology. Advances in drug delivery are what made a controlled release, once-nightly formula possible in the first place. The development of low-sodium or no-sodium molecules is the next frontier. Avadel's product sits perfectly at the intersection of these forces. It meets a real clinical need with a technologically superior product. Of course, Avadel isn't operating in a vacuum. The oxybate market has long been dominated by a single major player whose twice-nightly products are still widely used. However, the convenience of Avadel's once-nightly dose is a powerful draw that's already causing doctors and patients to switch. There are also new competitors on the horizon, developing drugs with entirely different mechanisms of action. While these aren't direct substitutes for oxybate, they could become part of the treatment landscape in the future. So how do they stack up? The incumbent competitor has massive scale, deep relationships with payers and doctors, and a multi-billion-dollar marketing machine. Avadel's strength isn't in its size, but in its product's core advantages: best-in-class convenience, real-world benefits driven by better adherence, and its expansion into pediatric use and idiopathic hypersomnia. The key competitive threat to Avadel isn't about clinical effectiveness, it's about commercial muscle. Avadel's differentiator is structural and behavioral, not just molecular. The company's performance over the last year is what really proved its potential and sparked the acquisition interest. They delivered strong revenue growth, expanded their patient base to several thousand users, and saw a steady increase in the number of doctors prescribing their therapy. They also gained significant traction in the pediatric market. This growth trajectory proved that a once-nightly option could truly disrupt the established market, and that's what justified the high-stakes bidding war. Now, let's talk valuation. Since Avadel is being acquired, we need to think in terms of scenarios. The base scenario is that the 𝗙𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏 deal closes as planned. Shareholders get cash upfront, plus the 𝗙𝗩𝗏𝗏𝗘𝗟. The 𝗙𝗩𝗏𝗏 payout depends on getting that new indication for idiopathic hypersomnia and hitting certain sales targets. In this most likely scenario, the total value for shareholders would land somewhere in the low to mid-20s per share. The upside scenario is even better. Let's say the idiopathic hypersomnia trial is a huge success. The FDA approves it quickly and sales take off. In this case, hitting the 𝗙𝗩𝗏𝗏 milestones becomes highly likely. Shareholders would get the full value of the cash plus the 𝗙𝗩𝗏𝗏 payout, and potentially even more depending on the deal's fine print. But there's also a downside scenario. What if the IH program fails or is delayed? Or what if the big competitor manages to suppress Avadel's market share? In that case, the 𝗙𝗩𝗏𝗏𝗏s could end up being worthless, and shareholders would only get the initial cash portion of the deal. When financial analysts apply standard biotech discount rates to these probabilities, the expected value of the deal lands somewhere in the high teens to low 20s per share. Looking ahead from 2025 to 2030, several key catalysts will determine the final outcome. The first is the successful closing of the acquisition itself. Next up is the data from the phase 3 trial for idiopathic hypersomnia, followed by a potential regulatory approval. After that, it's all about expanding insurance coverage, growing the number of patients for both narcolepsy and IH, and further penetrating the pediatric market. The potential introduction of that next-gen, salt-free formulation is another major value driver. Each of these milestones directly impacts the probability of hitting those 𝗙𝗩𝗏𝗏 sales targets. So, what are the biggest risks? Regulatory or clinical setbacks are always a possibility. Competition from the entrenched market leader is a major challenge. The emergence of brand new types of drugs could change the treatment landscape, and there's always the risk of pricing pressure from payers or bumps in the road as the company is integrated into its new parent organization. However, these risks are balanced by some powerful mitigating factors. The clinical logic for a once-nightly therapy is incredibly strong. The demand for this class of drugs is already proven, and the multiple layers of patient-focused benefits, convenience, quality of life, safety provide a solid foundation for continued adoption. In conclusion, Avadel Pharmaceuticals has masterfully created a differentiated, patient-centric therapy in a well-established market. They successfully positioned it for rapid growth and expanded its future potential with smart development programs. These achievements are what directly fueled the competitive bidding war. The accepted offer from 𝗙𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 provides shareholders with attractive, near-term cash while keeping upside potential on the table, contingent on future performance. The long-term value of this story is anchored in a simple but powerful idea: building treatments that are not only effective, but also fit seamlessly into patients' lives. Thanks so much for watching this deep dive. If you found this analysis helpful, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. See you next time.